wisdom,
prudentia,
justice,
justitia,
temperance,
temperantia,
courage.
fortitudo.
Applying ancient philosophy to modern life, this is the Sunday Stoic.
Welcome to the Sunday Stoic Podcast. Steve here, coming to you from Conway, Arkansas. Enjoying a summer break. A little too much laziness on my end because I don't do well when it's very, very hot out. So I stay inside too much, but that's okay. A little time off never hurt anyone, as long as I don't let it go to excess. Hey, we did it. We reached 1 million total downloads. Not 1 million listeners. If I had 1 million listeners, I'd retire from my job and make a living on this podcast. But since I started the show, over a course of 300 episodes or so, we've had 1 million downloads, and I'm pretty proud of that. That's a number that's too big for me to comprehend. The only regret I have is that I don't get $1 for every episode downloaded. That would be pretty sweet. But anyway, thank you all for making that possible. That's something that that's a preferred indifferent that I do have some pride in. And so thank you for making that possible. And let's get going with another episode. This week, I want to talk to you a little bit about Marcus Aurelius, Book 10. We're going to go a little further into it. We're almost done with Book 10, but we're going to go towards the tail end now. And Marcus is going to talk to himself about the idea that he's got to remember where the previous emperors are. Don't get caught up thinking that you're kind of immortal. Because remember, he's the top guy in the empire. So he could feel like, well, maybe my influence will last forever and people will remember me and so on and so forth. So he's reminding himself of where the past emperors are. He also reflects on the idea that humanity is unique and that we can turn all challenges into opportunity, and that nothing can impede the flow of sound reason. Perhaps we could find reasons to disagree with Marcus, but he's giving himself a pep talk here, saying, listen up, you don't have much time, you're not that important, your job is to improve, and your job is to use the power of reason and turn all this hard stuff that's happening into good stuff. And so Marcus is once again churning over his philosophy, writing about it, putting it into new context, into new words, looking at it from different angles as a way to more deeply intertwine himself with Stoic philosophy. The Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, Book 10, number 31. When you make yourself the subject of your meditations, bring some of the emperors, your predecessors, into your company, and thus set the dead and the living of the same character and profession always against one another. Then again, ask the question, where are those men? The answer will be, they are nowhere, or at least nowhere that I know of. Thus, you will be strongly convinced that men are but smoke and bubbles, and this impression will go the deeper if you consider that what is once perished and sunk will never come up again throughout the ages. As for your share of time, it is but a moment in comparison. Why then cannot you manage that little well and be satisfied? What a noble opportunity of improvement do you run away from? For what are all the revolutions of nature and the accidents of life but trials of skill and exercises of reason that has looked through the causes of things carefully and philosophically? Go on then, till you have digested all this and conquered the difficulty. For I would have you be like a strong stomach that masters all sort of diet and makes nourishment of it, or if you please, like a fire well kindled, which catches at everything you throw in and turns it into flame and brightness. Number 32. Put it out of the power of any one truly to report you not to be a sincere and good man. Let your practice give him the lie. This is all very feasible, for, pray, who can hinder you from being just and sincere? To make all sure, you should resolve to live no longer than you can live honestly, for, in earnest, reason would rather you were nothing than a knave. Number 33. What is it that is most proper to be said or done upon the present occasion? Let it be what it will. I am sure it is in your power to perform it, and therefore never pretend it impracticable. You will never leave grumbling till you can practice virtue with a relish, and make it your pleasure to perform those acts that are suited to the constitution of a human being. For a man ought to hold it a pleasure to do everything that is suitable to his nature, and that is in his power. Now, this is in his power everywhere. The motion of a cylinder may be stopped. Fire and water may be checked by their tendency, and so may any part of the vegetable and animal world. In this case, a great many obstructions may interpose, but there is nothing that can block up a soul, stop the course of reason, or hinder a thought from running in its natural channel as it pleases. He that considers the irresistible liberty of the mind, that she moves as easily as fire does upwards, as a stone downwards, as a cylinder on a smooth descent, seeks nothing further. For all other impediments proceed either from the body, which is really a corpse, or else they are found in opinion, and unless we betray ourselves and desert our reason, can do us no manner of mischief. Otherwise, ill fortune, as it is commonly called, would make a man ill. For all other productions of nature or art, when any harm happens to them, are certainly the worse for it. But here a man is, so to speak, the better for what he suffers. He improves his value and raises his character by making a right use of a rugged accident. In short, I would have you remember that no citizen can receive any damage by that which does not affect the community. Neither can the community suffer unless the laws suffer too. But these misfortunes, as they are called, do not violate the laws. Therefore, they do not hurt the community, nor by consequence the citizen. From the greatest emperor to the lowliest slave, humans are but smoke and bubbles. What does that mean? We're ephemeral. We're here one minute, we're gone the next. Where do we go? Marcus says either they're gone or they are somewhere else, but they're not here. And he's comparing himself precisely to other people exactly like him in his exact position to make it more personal in this case. And then he says, okay, you only have so much time. Then you disappear forever, never to come back again. So what's my job? How do I keep from just being depressed and sad about that? Well, what's your job? To be satisfied. And you have a noble opportunity in the little bit of time you have. We have the ability to look at things, to understand things philosophically, to understand the beauty, to try to see what he would define as the divine reason of all things. And then also to take in difficulties and turn them to his advantage, like a stomach that can digest anything, or a fire that can burn anything and increase its brightness. To learn to use the time we have and also use the struggles we have to grow better over time. In the next reading, he says, make sure that you do everything in your power to make sure that no one can say you're not a good person and not be lying. People can still say it, but at least you can know they're lying because you know that you're sincere, you are good. So, who can keep you from being just and sincere? Nobody can except you. In the last reading, he goes on and on and on a bit, but he talks about how items in nature, and items outside of ourselves, like cylinders, for example, a big round cylinder, can be impeded by an obstacle. It's rolling. It will stop when it hits an obstacle. A fire goes out when it touches water. But a human being, he argues, has the ability to turn anything in the world, anything nature can throw at him, he should love, he should embrace, because it's natural, and according to Marcus, it's divine, right? It's divinely inspired. It's what fate has in store for you. It's part of what has always been meant to happen, and you should go, well, if it's meant to happen, it's probably what should happen. Therefore, it's good. And so what he's saying here, cylinders may be stopped, fires can go out, etc., but humanity has the ability to grab a hold of these obstacles and use them to their advantage to improve themselves, to increase their value, as he says. So he's not worried about the human body. He's worried about the human soul, the mind, the use of reason. And reason, he thinks, is unstoppable and can grab a hold of anything that happens, love what happens, turn it to its advantage, much like a fire in the previous reading, burning any kind of fuel you throw at it. Now, he says the mind is basically unstoppable here. Reason is unstoppable. But, I think we could argue, okay, what if you have Alzheimer's, or you have a brain injury, or you have depression? Sometimes reason is not unstoppable, but the Stoics don't go down that road as far as I can tell. If you know of any examples where they talk about these sorts of examples, let me know. Another thing I question about Marcus here is the last few readings where he talks about how if the community is not injured, the citizen is not injured. And if the law is not injured, the community is not injured. That's a weird hierarchy there. I think part of it comes from something I could agree with, at least a little bit. I think in our society, we are very, at least where I live, we're very individualistic. We're taught that we're special. We don't see ourselves as part of the body, as part of a community so much as we are individuals, and we happen to get together in the community for our own convenience. Whereas he sees the community as the job of the cells. The cells in my little toe are there to serve the entire body, not to be there for their own sake. Now, the law, I guess, is the beating heart of the community. And so from his example, the community is where it's at. That's the important thing. And if the law is there, the community can always rebuild and recover and keep going. But if the law is lost, all is lost. I think we could think of examples, though. I don't know if there's starvation. If I'm emperor and my people are starving, screw the law. They need food. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I fully agree with Marcus's argument here. What do you think about it? And what do you think about the individual versus the community? How do we weigh the needs of those two things? How do they do it where you live? Perhaps you have a different experience. Email me, sundaystoic@gmail.com. And next time, we'll be hearing from Ryan Racine. He has written a book called The Stoic Teacher, applying ancient philosophy to teaching. Not about how to teach or approaches to teaching, but how to avoid burnout, how to keep your calm while teaching. So if you have any teachers in your life, you may want to grab this book for them. It's an introduction to Stoic philosophy and how to apply it to teaching, and also includes a workbook essentially within it to help people think about things deeply and chew on it, and kind of like Marcus's meditations here, to become more resilient teachers. All right, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, sundaystoic@gmail.com. I love to hear from you, hear where you're listening from. And until then, seize the day. Carpe diem.